Day 1. You open your eyes on a narrow iron frame bed. The mattress is thin and lumpy beneath you. The ceiling above is cracked plaster painted institutional beige. You are in a Kommunalka, a communal apartment shared by 4 different families. 1 kitchen, 1 bathroom, 12 people. This is how most Soviet citizens live. You pull on your clothes. A gray wool suit jacket slightly too large for you. A knitted sweater underneath in dark brown. Stiff dark trousers. Heavy black leather shoes that pinch your feet. A long dark overcoat that smells of mothballs and old winters. This is what a Soviet man wears, every day, without variation. You step into the shared kitchen. 3 other families are already there. A woman in a housecoat boiling water on a gas stove. An old man reading Pravda, the state newspaper, at the small kitchen table without expression. A child eating gray porridge in silence. Nobody speaks to each other beyond necessity. In a Kommunalka, you learn very quickly. Walls are thin and ears are everywhere. You step outside. Moscow in 1983. The streets are wide, impossibly wide. Stalin built them that way deliberately. Gray concrete apartment blocks, stretching in every direction as far as you can. See, identical, numbered, every building looks like every other building. People move through the streets in dark coats and fur hats in complete silence. No advertising anywhere. No color anywhere, just gray. You need food. You find a gastronome, a state grocery store. You join the queue. You have been standing for 40 minutes when you reach the counter. The shelves behind the counter are mostly empty. There is bread. There are tins of something unidentifiable. There is a jar of pickled cucumbers. There is no meat today, the woman behind the counter tells. You this with the expression of someone who has said it 10,000 times. You take the bread and the pickled cucumbers and you go home. Day 2. You wake up early. The Kommunalka bathroom is occupied. You wait 20 minutes outside the door in the cold corridor in your socks. Inside the bathroom, when you finally enter, cracked blue tiles, a rust-stained bathtub, a single bare light bulb, exposed pipes running along every wall, cold water only this morning. The hot water has been turned off for scheduled maintenance. It will be off for 2 weeks. This happens every summer. Everyone knows. Nobody complains. You take the metro to work. The Moscow metro is one of the great contradictions of the Soviet Union. Underground, marble columns, chandeliers, mosaics of heroic workers and soldiers, vaulted ceilings of extraordinary beauty. A palace built underground for the people. Above ground, gray. Below ground, gold. The train arrives in exactly 90 seconds. It always does. The Soviet state cannot feed its people reliably, but its trains run on time. You arrive at your workplace, a large gray concrete office building. You are assigned to a department. What the department does is not entirely clear. Papers move from one desk to another. Stamps are applied to documents. Forms are filled in triplicate. Your supervisor, a heavyset man in a brown suit with a party pin on his lapel, watches everything from behind, his desk without, appearing to watch anything. You work 8 hours. You produce nothing visible. You go home. This is your job. This is everyone's job. In the evening, you go to your neighbor's apartment. Misha, a man in his 40s with kind eyes and a bottle of vodka. You sit at his small kitchen table. His wife brings bread and butter and pickled herring. Misha pours the vodka. You drink. He turns the radio up slightly, not too loud, and leans forward. He tells you things in a low voice, things you are not supposed to say out loud in Moscow in 1983. His eyes keep moving to the door. Day 3. Today there is a queue outside the State Department store, gum, on Red Square. You join it without knowing what is being sold. This is normal in Moscow. If there is a queue, something valuable is being sold. You stand for 2 hours. At the front, Finnish boots. Real leather. You buy a pair with your monthly wage. You will wear them for 10 years. You walk across Red Square. The scale is designed to make you feel small. The Kremlin walls on one side, red brick and medieval towers. Lenin's mausoleum in the center, dark red granite. Guards standing motionless in the freezing cold. St. Basil's Cathedral at the far end, the only color in Moscow. Its painted onion domes of red and green and gold and blue blazing against the gray sky. You stand in front of it for a long time. A man approaches you. He asks if you want to exchange dollars for rubles. Black market rate, 10 times the official rate. You look around carefully before answering. This conversation could end very badly. The KGB has informants everywhere. 1 in 7 Soviet citizens is estimated to work for the KGB in some capacity. Your neighbor, your colleague, the woman at the gastronom counter, anyone. Day 4. You are woken before dawn by noise in the Kommunalka corridor. Raised voices. Then silence. In the morning, you discover that the family in apartment 3, the Volkov family is gone. Their door is locked. Their name has been removed from the list beside the mailboxes. Nobody in the Kommunalka discusses this. Nobody asks questions. By afternoon, it is as if the Volkov family never existed. You eat your bread and pickled cucumbers, and you do not ask questions either. You go to a state cinema in the afternoon. The film is a Soviet production, a heroic story about World War II. The Great. Patriotic War. Every Soviet film eventually comes back to the Great. Patriotic War. 27 million. Soviet citizens died in that war. It is the wound that never closes. The cinema is full. The audience watches in complete silence. When the Soviet soldiers win, as they always do, nobody cheers. They simply stand and file out in silence. In the evening, there is a power cut. 2 hours of darkness in the Kommunalka. You sit with the others in the kitchen around a candle. The old man reads Pravda by candlelight. The woman knits. The child sleeps. Power cuts happen. You do not call anyone. There is no one to call. Day 5. You have obtained something remarkable. A friend of Misha has given you a cassette tape. Western music. The Rolling Stones, recorded from a radio broadcast, somewhere in Europe and copied onto a Soviet cassette tape so many times the sound is barely recognizable through the static. You listen to it alone in your room on a small cassette player with the volume very low. It sounds like another planet. It sounds like freedom. When you are done, you hide the cassette under a loose floorboard. You visit a state polyclinic, the Soviet healthcare system. Free for everyone. You wait 3 hours in a gray waiting room with plastic chairs and a potted plant that may or may not be alive. The doctor, a tired woman in a white coat, examines you in 4 minutes. She prescribes you something. The prescription cannot be filled because the pharmacy does not have the medication. She shrugs. This also happens. You go home. In the evening, Misha invites you to a small gathering. 6 people in his apartment. Someone has obtained real coffee from somewhere, possibly the black market. Someone else has brought a Samizdat document, a self-published underground text, typed on a typewriter and passed from hand to hand in secret. Literature that cannot be published officially. Someone reads it aloud in a low voice while another person watches the door. This is how ideas survive in the Soviet Union. In whispers, in small kitchens, with the radio turned up. Day 6. You take a train out of Moscow, 2 hours into the countryside. The Russia beyond Moscow is a different country entirely. Wooden village houses with carved window frames painted blue and white. Old women in headscarves tending small vegetable gardens, their private plots. The only privately owned land allowed in the Soviet Union. These small gardens produce a remarkable percentage of the Soviet food supply. The collective farms produce quotas. The private gardens produce food. You visit a collective farm at the kolkhoz, vast flat fields stretching to the horizon. Machinery that mostly does not work. Workers who move with the efficiency of people who are paid the same, whether they work hard or not. A brigade leader with a clipboard recording. Numbers that everyone knows are not accurate. The Soviet agricultural system feeds 300 million people, barely and unreliably. Everyone knows the system does not work. Nobody says so out loud. In the evening at the village, you eat the best meal of your week. A babushka, an old grandmother, feeds you from her garden. Real tomatoes, real cucumbers, pickled mushrooms she gathered from the forest herself. Black bread she baked herself. Boiled potatoes with dill, a glass of homemade kvass. The Soviet state has failed to provide what this one old woman's garden provides for free. You understand something important sitting at her table. Day 7. Before dawn, you climb to the roof of the Kommunalka building. Moscow spreads in every direction as far as you can see. Gray concrete apartment. Blocks in every direction to the horizon, identical, endless, and, in the distance, the Kremlin. Towers lit up against the dark sky. Red stars on each tower glowing red in the pre-dawn darkness. 1 week. You have stood in queues for food that was not there. You have worked at a job that produced nothing. You have watched a family disappear overnight. You have listened to contraband music in a dark room. You have eaten at a babushka's table and understood more about the Soviet union than any newspaper ever told you. 300 million people lived this life. Not for 1 week, for their entire lives. They were told it was the greatest system ever devised by humanity. Some believed it. Many did not. All of them endured it. 6 years after this morning, this gray dawn, these red Kremlin stars, this endless gray city, the Soviet Union ceased to exist. It did not fall. It simply stopped believing in itself. Follow Empirico. History lived 1 week at a time.